welcome, Rakesh. Thank you so much for being here today. Really appreciate it. You were in a pretty comfortable spot at Capital One. What was the itch that made you start wanting to do your own thing?
Well, first of all, thank you for doing this, Chris. Really appreciate. Love the setup here, the environment, and this is a great opportunity. Yeah, to answer your question, startup was always have been in my, since college days. I've been thinking about doing something on my own. I was always a builder. My background was in computer science, so in 2013-14 timeframe, I graduated from UVA. Since then, I've been thinking about seriously getting into some startups. So I had several ideas that I've been waiting on, and I presented, in fact, some of the ideas to my professors in UVA. But when you are living in a corporate world, your time is so limited, and I was in a very good position at Capital One, and Capital One has been an amazing company. I was there for about 13, 14 years. And there came to a point where I was like, if I have to pursue my passion, I have to, kind of make a decision in switching from the corporate world to the startup world. So I was trying out many ideas, like I said, since 2014-15, and then finally came to this Nestease platform idea, and started doing that on the side with some mentoring some people, running their ideas with them. Then I felt at a point like it's time to kind of quit, and that's the only way I could get back into quit the corporate world, so I could get back into fully going after my startup venture. Doing both on the sides were very tough. I came to a point where I have to choose either one or the other one. So,
But I always say it's if you're doing a side hobby or a side hustle, you only have so many hours in the day.
Yep.
And if you are spending your A+ hours, which is the 9 to 5,
Yep.
you can't use those A+ hours not on your side hobby. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like you have to use those A+ hours on the startup that you're trying to cultivate, because if not, then it's never going to flourish.
Exactly.
So I do want to go back and talk. You mentioned you pitched some ideas to some professors.
Yeah.
How was that? Did you meet a lot of resistance, or were they like, "Don't worry about
No,
that"?
no,
Or were
that-
they like cultivate that?
No, UVA professors were amazing. I think I had one of the first ideas I had was kind of the finance sector, and they even helped me talk to the University of Virginia Law School. So I believe I met with some professors there, and as well as they even connected me to some lawyers who are practicing in the finance side. Met with them. Then I had one or two conversations. Then I realized it's with the banking and the financial sector being so scrutinized, it takes a lot more time and effort to kind of build that. And I was also working for Capital One at that time, so I didn't feel like there could be a non-compete. It's not the right thing to do. So I stopped. And there was some other ideas that there was one about a talent matching startup I had, and I even created a competitor analysis and created a kind of at that time, in startup world, in 10 years back, you create a business plan and all that stuff. I did all that, and I presented that to kind of showed, got some insights. But then, none of that I felt like, a problem that is really relevant to the market. So then I moved away from those.
Interesting. So a lot of it's actually kind of surprising that, I just assumed that this was your first startup. Obviously, that's a very incredible feat, because Nestease seems to be doing very well, especially what you share with me with the amount of downloads kicking up and everything, and you're staying busy, which is always a good thing. So is there any of the past startups that, so I could say each of those would probably teach you some sort of lesson.
Yeah.
Is there one that you kind of miss in terms of like, I wish that one would have worked out?
Yeah, there were a couple of startups I felt like, I was talking about the idea, then some people end up doing it. One was about this tracking mechanism for kids. I was talking about, that's one thing which I I created some plan, and then I later found out that Apple and many other people have come up with that. That's one. Then another one was like an sharing neighborhood assets to helping people out. Then I think there was a platform that came up with that idea. So um, again, how much of them are successful today, I do not know. But those were a couple of them. The financial idea is still, I have that in my back pocket as something that I sometime want to pursue. Is something. Again, none of those ideas were all again ideas only. It was not. I didn't go into execution because at the end of the day, we all have ideas. Getting that executed and receiving real feedback, getting people buying your product. That's at the end of the day is like 95% of the any company success or even failure. So everything else was I did at that time was ideas and creating all this paperwork, doing computer analysis, this analysis, industry analysis, and all that stuff. I mean, yeah, but this Nestease is more in the execution phase.
That's interesting. So what made Nestease different that you decided to actually take that leap? Like, what was that mindset that changed?
Yeah, I think it started with my own problem. I think in one thing which I realized about the as a homeowner, one thing which I noticed is like if I want to if I want to get any services done, usually you talk to your neighbor or you talk to your family, your friends. You don't have a set people that you can kind of go after and say, hey, this person does it. So finding the right people was always hard, and then everybody has different prices. There is no consistency on pricing. Then the reliability was hard. I mean, people will like commit, but then they're not showing up. There was a bunch of issues that I was facing. And specifically looking at lawn mowing is the first product we started with. One thing which I saw with the lawn mowing was like, I had this company come and do the lawn mowing. They were pretty good, but they come and regularly do it. But then I realized there were some times I don't need the service every time because every week. Due to the nature of the season, you can, if I have a convenience product where I could change the frequency and stuff like that, it helps saving a lot of money and stuff like that. So it was my own problem that started with so I thought, okay, let me start with something with the lawn mowing or something. Then I came to know from customers and others, there's a whole bunch of other things that they want. So that's where I think it started with my own problem before I pivoted to creating this for many more customers.
Yeah, I'm curious. How did you balance that with working full time?
Yeah, initially I was mentoring some startup folks from India and some folks from in the local community too. So talking to them, you get a lot of ideas, a lot of problems you hear. But many times we are in conversations, but then people, will not force to go into execution. So I always felt like I met with some of the folks who are capable of doing stuff. So I thought, okay, why don't we start something on the side? So I did, give some hints to my leadership at Capital One today. I am helping this, mentoring some people. I'm also trying something out. So they knew it. But I wasn't. But then I realized, this is not happening. You cannot do this on the side. You can build this, but it's a cool thing. A cool thing is not adding value for customers. So if you have to build something for the customers, you need to be on the ground. So and execute well, right? So that's when the shift happened.
Was there anything that ever like stopped you, or like maybe hesitate before you actually made the leap?
I was getting like not only Capital One but even outside of Capital One, I was getting some good conversations with some companies and such like that. Then there was a time there was a time maybe in October or September of 2024. I had this feeling like I need to pursue this and I'm going to try it out. It was a gut feeling at that moment. Then I told my wife that, hey, I'm going to, and she was fully supportive. Like, hey, let's do it. And my mindset was kind of fully ready to move on and try it out and see how it's going to play out. One thing at that moment I realized is like, okay, I feel like there is a demand. I mean, I feel in the sense like I talked to By the time I was in there, I already talked to like many customers, tried to gather insights. I mean, if you don't talk to the customers, if you just go by your gut, it's not going to go work. So I had talked to many customers across the nation. Then one other thing which I did was like I went through Nextdoor, Reddit, many other platform. I went through like thousands of like literally. I copied that data to like into like looking at to see like the patterns. I saw like a tremendous need for like on-demand needs for house products, features and stuff like that. So I then validating with the clients and talking to customers really made sure that okay there is a need here, and of course there are challenges that nobody has tried, but there is a need. I felt.
It's interesting you went into Nextdoor because that is I always like to joke you got to put like a hazmat suit on reading those comments because everyone is in there like, did you see this guy come by our house yesterday? And we're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. There is. I get to like even now I get these comments and I read every Reddit and Nextdoor. I get all the comments. Honestly, I read every one of them. Even now I read it because it gives me insights about challenges. Or for example, sometimes they talk about this guy came and screwed up something. So my mind immediately works, okay, if it happens to our company, how do I build a system to handle it? Quality issues. Or sometimes they talk about, hey, I paid this guy, they didn't show up. Or they are like, hey, you know what, the quality was not good. Or great example is like recently with the ice removal thing happened, right? Richmond was not equipped for ice, right? And people didn't even know like how much they have to pay for the price. People are paid probably like in the past like $50-$60 for snow removal, but when you have to break the ice, it's like 2-3 hours, right? So there were a lot of conversation going back and forth on that ice removal, and I got a lot of insights from like these channels, listening to them on the customers as well as, and customers also from some of the vendors replying back to it. So these ones definitely help from that angle. Yeah.
So you're just looking at pure data, like you're
I'm
just
always
like, oh,
looking
perfect.
at,
You're like, oh, how they respond? Okay, they respond like this.
Yes.
Like,
I'm looking at the data. I'm looking at the patterns, and I write it down.
Yeah.
Then I see, okay, how do I handle in our company? What do we do for that? So I'm always like looking more from a system perspective. Like if we have to scale this to, as we scale to different states, and how do we do that? So I'm always looking at a systematic way of addressing this more from a customer perspective, also from a vendor perspective. I mean, since we don't use vendors, we are directly doing it. I'm like, if I am that vendor providing this service, how do I handle it? So these channels are very good in a way to, for a company like us, a startup, like gather the information.
Yeah, that's great because you can see like, okay, this is what we don't want to do. We don't want to see, or this is how we want to do it. They're doing it good, but then you're also thinking like, okay, how do they repeatedly respond to all these customers? Like, what's the system? Do they get a ping? Do they get a notification? So I can already tell how your mind works.
Yeah,
You're just like,
to your point, Chris, about 70-80% of what I am seeing, maybe I'm pointing that way, are improvement opportunities. People are complaining about it, or so that's like a way to like, hey, so you don't even sometimes, you talk to your own customers, but here you go, free information coming on your way. Why don't you take it and implement,
Yeah, I'm always surprised in seeing like businesses that, after running multiple businesses, seeing how it's just the bare minimum. It's just like answering your customers. It's like that's like the one level. Just answer them and answer them timely. So it's interesting to see how many people aren't doing it. And I'm sure Nextdoor and Reddit is probably just a sea of comments.
Yep, exactly.
Kind of going. One thing that you mentioned was your wife was supportive, and I know that's really, really important. Is your wife involved with the business at all, or is like?
I should say she's involved in the sense like she's kind of my coach. So in a founder, I mean, as you being a founder, like we have ups and downs. Whenever I am down for something happens, or like I'm like I just need to figure out something, I go and talk to her, and she always gives me like some great insights. She reads a lot of different topics, articles, books, and stuff like that. So she gives me that insights into how to handle those. So but she doesn't get involved into the business or anything, but she gives me that. She's more like a guru. helps you coach you on like how to handle this situation. That's one of the biggest factors since I started doing it. She being on the side to help me out has been helped me grow, and I should say that's kind of probably my backbone in getting this moving.
Yeah,
That's a big one, I would say.
that's amazing. Yeah, I always say that like I just work here. My wife, she runs the business.
Oh,
She runs
okay.
everything because I mean, having that support, that's huge
Yeah.
because like especially like leaving your job for that, that's
Yeah.
like a very very big decision. And I don't think if you have a significant other, you can't do it without that support. So that's
Absolutely.
really awesome that you have that relationship as a coach, and that's someone that you can always fall back on. So kind of going forward, what surprised you the most when you actually started and you actually started executing with Nestease?
Initially, when I built this, I was building more like a marketplace. And in startups, we always say like pivot, pivot, pivot. Learn, pivot, learn, pivot. So I started as a marketplace, lawn mowing. In October of 2024, lawn mowing I talked to probably over 50 plus local vendors to onboard to the app, and I had like one or two people onboard to the partner app. Then I started sending the requests, and immediately learned like, okay, this marketplace model is not the best model for. It's an easier thing to do from a technology aspect, but it is not. So then I shifted to this vertical model, and that's when I realized, okay, vertical model has its own challenges. So the surprise was more around. First surprise was the marketplace model. Many people are doing it, like Uber, DoorDash. They are successful. Okay, it's not the model for a home service. It doesn't. So that was the first surprise. And it's a learning too. And pivoting was fast. But the second one was surprise would be like going into vertical. I mean, I'm going through that learning. More than the surprise is more like finding the right crew members and how can you enable it, can you scale it, can you do that? That's kind of a little bit of a surprise, but it's a learning opportunity too. I don't know if I'm answering your question. But
Oh, you are.
okay.
Yeah. You actually answered like 4 of my questions in a row. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah, I was like, dang, you're like answering all mine. So it seems like one thing I wanted to touch on, and you kind of already alluded to this with the amount of ideas and startups and things that you went through. When you realized it wasn't working, did you want to hold on to it still, or you were just like, okay, this isn't working, I need to pivot fast?
Overall, I think I'm learning myself too. But what I'm picking up myself is that I'm very fast in pivoting or changing, and that is very important in startups, especially in consumer startups, I believe. I knew, and all these comments coming from other platforms also helped. But when I learned that, hey, marketplace, and I went deep into why it's not working. So so to give you some examples, like customer, let's say paying $50 for a lawn mowing, and let's say I take like 10-20%, and then I'm sending this out to a third party, and he or she does the work, but end of the day, okay, work is getting happened, but the quality is not good sometimes, and the customer do not know who came and did the work. There is no, like there's a whole bunch of things that I picked up immediately. Then I realized a couple of issues I found is customer is not happy. I talked to a few customers. They're like, oh man, this guy came and did some poor job, and they just come there for, you give them $40, they just come there and do some crappy job and leave. The second thing which I realized is like, even from the vendor side, they are like, I'm not getting paid enough. And the third one is like, why should I go to you if I can go directly to the customer, right? So I realized, okay, this is like, many companies, the marketplace model has been there for home services since Uber and DoorDash succeeded. I'm like, okay, they're doing it, but how much they are successful, I don't think that's a model that I want to go after, because then I'm no different than others. I wanted to focus on right now in the marketplace model, you have two sets of customers. You have the customers, home owners, or who paying for it, then the vendors, they are also a customer. You need to satisfy two, right? And you are not really satisfying either one of them. I was like, okay, I want to go after the people who are really paying for the service and see what their problems are. So I'm like, okay, let me focus on the customers, and then I could think about systematically how to address their problem. So I went more deep into the actual paying customers and found out what their problem was, and then how do I build a system to address that problem. That's the way I pivoted. So I thought, okay, for that I need to probably change this model to more of a vertical integration to do it, and that's how I pivoted.
So you mentioned systems a lot. Was that always just like I'm starting to follow the way you operate and the way you think. Have you always been so system minded? Because it seems like you analyze like, okay, customer, vendor plus the system. Like, have you always been?
I'm
like
always
that?
a system guy. I believe like, and a system doesn't need to be like a technology system or a platform. It can be like a systematic approach. So whenever I see a problem, I usually go deep into like why it's happening. How can I come up with a solution that helps them? And many times we get stuck in, we already know the solution. I think, in fact, in my opinion, many times looking at problem and understanding, identifying the problem is a key thing. What is the real problem there, right? So I look at the problem, then I do a systematic analysis on understanding the problem. Then I figure out, okay, what solutions can fit to handle the problem. And many times you may not have a solution immediately to handle the full problem, but you can start small and then build much bigger systems or connected systems to handle it. So yeah, I always have a systematic thinking. Maybe the system come into picture because I did my master's in systems engineering at UVA. That taught me a lot. So a lot of kudos should go to UVA for what I learned from the systems engineering master's program. I think that helped me a lot in kind of shifting the mindset to systems thinking.
You also seem to you seem to light up when you talk about it. So it seems like there's also you enjoy it as well.
I completely agree. And one thing I learned is this. I believe there are millions of opportunities in this, in what I'm working on. Maybe because I haven't seen it all yet. Maybe someone else have done it. I do not know. But what I see right now is there are millions of opportunities out there to kind of get in there and work on it. Is what I believe. And if someone can build a systematic approach or a platform or a system to handle at least some of those, it'll be a big win.
The other thing that you mentioned earlier was about how you had other ideas that other companies ended up doing them. How often are you looking at competitors or like looking in the space as well to dictate your next steps with a company, or do you kind of like close off the doors and you're just focusing 100% on your own?
Very interesting question. So when I did those other ideas, right, I was creating this business plan. I have like the one idea I created, I had about 80 or 90 page business plan I created. And I did an analysis with almost 80, 90 competing firms. But when I moved into the Nestease, I did initial analysis. I did analysis on like, Handy, Angie, a whole bunch of platforms out there, what they do, marketplaces and all. And I identified common patterns. But when I work on Nestease right now, I do not look at competition. It's a closed chapter. I just look at only one aspect, that is customers. What do they want, and how can I do a better job than anyone else? And I don't even feel like local, because in the home services market as well as the commercial services market, you have a lot of local players. And local players, I mean, they do a very good job. They have a very good association with the community, with the neighborhoods, with the customers. But Nestease, we provide something. We provide those same things at the same time. We provide more technology aspect. We provide more flexibility, convenience, and stuff like that. So to answer your question, there's no point for me to look at like what other competitors are providing, because first of all I'm doing a vertical model. So what Angie provides, it doesn't matter to me, right? I mean, I know already their model. Handy provides, I know already their model, right? So I don't look at like how does that bother me or anything. I just focus on, am I satisfying the customer need? That's only one area I focus.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm sure that hyper focus probably helps you continue to tweak the product without being like all over the place.
Exactly.
Big time.
I mean, when many corporations, once you get bigger, like, of course, if there are similar models there, then competition is important. But for me right now, I'm not a bigger company. I'm a very starting point. The only area I need to focus is just focus on the customer and do the best service for them. That's the only area I want to focus.
And speaking of bigger companies, what do you think is like the first thing that would break in your company if you were to scale like 100x overnight?
Yeah, I've always thought, if you're asking me this question if I was just building a technology platform, then I would have said technology. I don't think I think technology, we are getting better and better with every day with the AI tools and everything. You can do things much faster. I think scaling wise, I would say building the right labor pool is one of the biggest thing. Finding the right, because we offer a multitude of services, right? So building a labor pool who is energized, who is passionate to work on the problems that we are going after, the services we are going after. I think that's one of the biggest thing, and keeping them staying with the company, and that's and identifying that labor pool as you go to every market is one of the biggest thing that which I would say is for a scalable, because technology, I believe, living in technology and looking at it, I think that's secondary to me now. I think finding the right people to work with you is probably the most important one. In my opinion.
Do you think it's secondary to you because of the current state of technology, or because of how adept in your background with technology that your experience is?
I think in both. I think the way that technology is advancing, technology is only is going to help more technologies with the AI and everything. So, and then that's one. Then the second one is, of course, being in technology for a long time. You always have help. You always have people to reach out. You always have, the other, communities or practice and other places to kind of go and get the help. So I don't think so. If I would have been a purely technology company, then I would have answered the question in, okay, this aspect of technology may be an issue, but since I am owning all the way from customer acquisition through processing, through operations, through the end delivery and the feedback loop, I think one of the cornerstone is the labor, and that operations probably is the most important factor.
And with your type of business that you're looking into, you mentioned earlier before our conversation about the difference of types of companies. And so you mentioned that your company and running your business, which is very operationally heavy, is different than a lot of other founders to this day. So what is it like running your style of business compared to other founders?
Yeah, so other founders, or if it is purely a technology platform, you just need to worry about technology and getting the right customers into using your technology platform. So, but when you're running an operations heavy platform too, one thing is you need to know everything about what services that you're offering. Like say we have like 20 plus services, from lawn mowing, house cleaning, pressure washing, all the way to ice removal. Right now we did so knowing each one of that is very important, and the outcome of that is knowing about that is important. But as you learn more and more, you're becoming more powerful, meaning like now you have learned all the data points, how it is done. As you scale, that is a bigger advantage, right? So that's one. Second, I would also say your most important thing about this is you are closer to the customers than anyone else. If I'm doing like a marketplace connecting, I am not closer to anyone really. But in this case, I am really seeing what the problem that the customer wants. So, and what exactly they need next. So every time I'm talking to the customer, I am getting a new idea that that they need, I could implement, right? And the way that I think, I also think the way that the technology is advancing today, the people who are closer to the customers, eventually, I'm hoping, they may have a bigger advantage because they are winning. Because why, even for today, like I think most of the times I go to Amazon first for any of my products to buy before I'm not a guy nowadays go out and shop, right? If I can get a convenient stuff from Amazon, why do I go there? So I want building Nestease in a way that, there's for home services, there's a place that they can trust and go where they think they get the the right level of quality and the resources to in a reliable way to come and do it than anyone else. So that's another thing. The getting closer to the customer is the second biggest difference and advantage, and you get to learn a lot from them.
So, what is the difference of running a consumer app versus a general SaaS-based technology app?
Yeah, I think the multiple variables here. One is like every customer, I believe, assuming that let's say the customer is a homeowner, every customer's taste is different, pretty much. You can definitely create a pattern of taste or quality and stuff, but still, most of the people, their needs are different. The quality they look at, the standard of quality are different. Especially when you go talk to each one of them, you see that difference. If we stay at the surface, you don't see the difference. If you go and talk to the customers and go deep into it, you will see every customer is different. From their quality aspect, price point, they are different. A customer who is willing to pay for the same lawn or a cleaning for, let's say, 150, some other customer might say, no, I'm going to pay only 100, or another customer is willing to pay $200. There's a big variability in the price too. So there's a lot of opportunity to kind of standardizing that. So price variability is there, quality variability is there. Their needs are different. Like for each of the services, like they may have different needs within that future itself. Like, I need this to be done, I need that to be done. So there is like the variability of like their needs are so different compared to an enterprise. When you're building an enterprise platform, you start with one customer, you have a standard thing, but then you may have like hundreds or millions. But when you're talking about consumers, it's a huge platform. And another example I could give you is like when you're thinking about Uber or DoorDash. Let's say take DoorDash do the delivery. Delivery is standard for every customer. You just deliver the food or deliver, now they deliver a lot more stuff. But when you come into the service thing, a lawn mowing job, within the lawn mowing, there's so many variances there. Mulching job, there's so much variances there. So much variance, I believe. And I am calling this purposefully as variance is because I'm giving more importance to my customers that their needs are different. And if we can pick up the brain that, hey, their needs are different and you have to treat each one of them that way, that adds a lot more value to the company as well as to the customer. So the point is, so you need to build a system or a platform to handle those variants. And the more you can do it, the better you are. So a customer, when it comes in, they go, oh yeah, this is a platform I need. I get everything that I want. It's so unique to me. If you can make that platform or a system or an app or whatever you're building in a way that it is so idolized to them that, hey, this is so unique to you, you win. And building that is the toughest part, but it's a good thing to do.
Yeah, I can only imagine how tough that is because, like you said, there's so many variables. And the customer coming like, oh, this is perfect for me. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Yeah. It's like, and that's a testament because you're paying attention. Yeah. You're in Nextdoor. You're reading the comments, and so I see like the type of person you are and why this business is so exciting for you because you're talking to customers. They have so many different needs, so many different variables, and then also each of the services that you work with. You got to learn all of them. Yeah. So this is like for you, it's supposed to be like, oh, this is perfect. Another thing to learn, another thing to systemize. So it's exactly. Like, got to learn this.
To add on to this, like there is this, their needs, operational components, getting the quality, getting the right work. Their needs, understanding what we need to do. That's one aspect. The other thing is like, if I'm purely an app company, I'll be fully focusing on more than the service. I might be focusing on how the app works. Mm-hmm. When I come as a customer, are they able to navigate through the flow? Do they understand it? So I have that challenge too. But to me, that challenge is like a secondary than the end of the day. If I don't provide the right quality and the right service, app, none of that matters to them. To that point, I have some different sets of customers from different age group. I have some customers who are in retired customers, and sometimes I get the comments. Even today, I got a comment from one of the customers who's a retired person. I said, "Hey, I'm not able to navigate or understand how this works." So in that case, sometimes I have gone to their homes and kind of helped showed. So building an app also to feel like people can navigate and understand with so many different features and all is also a challenge, but interesting too at the same time.
Yeah, it seems like you definitely, literally like to get out from, because I think with a lot of SaaS, I'm gonna say they hide behind the computer for a sense, but you're really out there. You're showing up to customers' homes.
Yeah,
Like you're like, hello,
yeah.
I'm here.
I'll give you an example. Like,
like, who are you? I own the company.
yeah.
Like,
So 2 days back, I was one of my customers request for leaf removal. In the future, I have like in the near future soon, we are going to be adding AI, so we don't have to do estimation visits and stuff. But in some of these jobs, we have to go and do an estimation visit. So I went there, but it's all fully automated, so they get a notification when we go on the way. So she knew we are coming up there. But this time I went there to do it. And when I go there, in the app, we can type up the information, we can take the pictures. Then I saw a challenge where like I took a bunch of pictures and then I was trying to, from gallery, then I was trying to upload it, but the app is allowing me to do only one at a time. So immediately then I sent a note to my team, hey, this is, we need to be able to group it. Then immediately we fixed it. So being out there helps us to learn. That means like I need to be out there a lot too. I mean, that's the only way you can build the right app and the platforms to scale.
yeah, that's all. And you're
It's a
only
lot of
gonna,
hands-on in a way.
and you're only going to know that unless you go out there and do it.
Yeah.
I always like to say, like, when we first bought our house and we redid everything, I was literally on my hands and knees, every floor of the house, down to the subfloor. I know every single nook and cranny of that house. So if something happens or something messes up or I hear something, I'm like, I know exactly what's that.
Yeah.
So you're literally like on your hands and knees, like showing up to these customers' houses, using the app live, not just using the app like at home, like, oh, let's see.
Yeah.
You're like trying it and doing it with the customer. That's really amazing. Since there's a lot going on, how do you stay not only focused, but how do you manage your stress level? Because there's a lot of moving parts here. Like, how do you stay even keel? Because you seem like a very relaxed guy, but obviously there's probably a system behind it. I wouldn't be surprised if you have an Excel sheet of like, here's my relaxation schedule.
Yeah. Every day is a busy day. I mean, because busy in the sense like, I start around, I'm always looking at I'm always looking at my team is working, from different part of the places. So I'm always, even at night when I'm sleeping, I'm looking at how I'm getting any text messages, Slack messages, I reply to them. So it's like a 24/7 work, Saturday, Sunday, every time. To answer your question, I do write down my priorities. So whenever I have like one thing is answer you, stressful, I always go through back to what my priority is, because you always get thrown with the monkey wrenches, like, from different angles, like, hey, this is an issue, there's an issue. But then I like to see like, hey, what does that mean to my existing priorities? So through back to my priorities of things that I need to be doing. That's one. Second is like in the evening, every day I try to hit the gym. And I need to get out because most of the time I'm working from my basement. Sometimes I come to Startup Virginia and work from here. But most of the days I'm working from my basement. Unless I am in the field, working with the crew or something. That happens sometimes. So coming to the gym, then I, get to, but even at the gym, I'm like, looking at different AI tools or working something, replying to things. But that at least gets me out. So I go to the gym now every day. Since I moved into the startup, I don't know how many days I missed the gym. Every day, even if it's an hour or hour and a half, I get out, I go. Lately, in the last 3-4 months, since I don't have a lot of movement at basement, what I've been doing is I've been hopping on my I have a stair stepper at home. I do every half an hour in there. Then I listen to some music or something. So it kind of changed my mind. So there are some, these, like physical activities has been, have been helping me a lot to do. I used to listen to a lot of different musics and all that stuff, but I don't do it unless while I'm working out and stuff. But I do listen to one thing that motivates me a lot out of the stress. I'll tell you honestly, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I listen to a lot of podcasts from. I'm sure you know about all of this, like Y Combinator, and whatever they post every week. There's a whole bunch of this startup thing. So whenever I feel like something, like I listen to them, it immediately gives me an idea or a motivation. So that's one of the biggest things that I do. Even when I go to the gym, I listen to it. Sometimes nowadays I don't listen a lot, but I'm listening to some podcast. When I'm brushing, when I'm walking around, I'm listening to get it out of my system. Otherwise, yeah, the stress can eat you live.
Was there ever a moment where you were on the Stairmaster and you were listening to something, you had to jump off real quick to write something down?
Almost every day. You won't believe it. You won't believe it. I have as soon as I get to the Stairmaster, I have a paper and pen.
Oh my God, that's you asked for one.
Yes, I asked for this one. That is so. I am because when I'm talking to you, even when I'm interviewing people, right?
Yeah.
I was talking to, and I get this. I immediately, I don't want to forget, so I immediately write it down. So I do. I immediately hop off my Stairmaster, then I write down there. And if I'm at the gym, I'm writing. I have a note thing in the. I'm writing it down because you have all this funnel of information coming through, and then you will forget.
I love it. I send all caps emails to myself. That's like
that's
thing.
good.
And so like literally, it looks like a crazy. If anybody saw my email, they would think it was a crazy person because it's just all caps, like from myself, just like do this or XYZ or this link, watch this. It's
good.
It's so funny. So was there ever a time as you were running Nestease that you wanted to quit?
I don't think no. I never had that time. I think it's because there were always stressful moments. Of course, I go to my coach for that. She helps me out. Here and there. The same time. I look at even I was talking to the guy who was interviewing today. I was telling him like, you will have issues come up at the field. This is very common, but I told them don't take it personal. And one of the questions were like, how do you build? And I'm going to use a system word again. Like, how do you build a technical capability to handle it so it's not a personal issue, right? So. Whenever I have that moment, I think about like how can I, like sometimes I even in this field like operational heavy labor shortage, so I immediately am thinking about I was telling this to my mom, this could have been sold by a lot of people may have tried this or we're still trying it out. I do not know, but there is something if you go deep and you can probably figure out and solve it. If you put that mentality, then it is like, labor shortage. It's an issue, but it's an issue for everyone. If you can figure it out, you are going to win. So that's a mindset I immediately try to pivot. And I actually tell that to people. When I'm, if I just put it to myself, it doesn't. But when I tell that to my mom or when I told that to someone else, it really helps my mind to think that, okay, this is it's registering in my brain that okay, this is a thing that I can go and solve it. So that's a way I've been processing myself.
That's the thing I see in a lot of founders. Like, there's no quitting. It's just like another problem to solve, another thing to pivot to. So it's definitely a testament to your success so far. And I wanted to ask, like, kind of winding down now, for someone else that's like sitting in a job that's maybe full time and thinking about starting their own, what would you tell to them?
Very interesting question. I think one is, of course, you are when you are working for a corporate job, you are surrounded by a lot of people to help you out. You have your leaders, your peers, you are the people If you have a team, your teams, organization, your company lawyers, HR, a whole bunch of people. When you are getting to start by something yourself, unless you have a well-funded company, you are your own. So first of all, do you have the passion to do this? Then are you a person who can sustain this by yourself if no one else is there with you? That's the thing. You have to assume that there is nobody else there initially when you start to help you out there. And of course, and then do not just go after an idea, but check the idea is really a problem for the customer, and then can you execute on it? Many times, you have to have some visualization of getting that done through, or you have the energy and the stamina to get through those execution. If you don't think I cannot do all of this, then corporate job is the best thing, because you get paid, you get a great job, you can move up, you can go and solve different types of problems. Because when you are in a founder's job, you are solving not only the customer problems, but you are solving all these other support mechanisms that you don't have. You need to solve for that too. So you need to be able to handle all that. That's very, very important.
So how do you know if you're actually ready to make the jump to being a founder?
How do you know? I think I would just say first, make sure that you have a great idea and the idea is viable, and you think the potentiality of that idea is to go to be a bigger company, not just a local company, but it can scale and it can go to a local company, and there is a need for that. I think do all that, and then you can make it happen. If you all that, then and then of course I would just also say, make sure that you are financially, you can handle it. I mean, you can get some funding, or you have savings, or you have some way of handling it to do it. And the last thing I would just say is also make sure that you have some support system, either your family or someone who can get you through this time, because it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be tough the first several years, for sure.
And so last question I have, again, thank you so much for coming out. I really appreciate the time. When people hear the name Nestease 5 years from now, what do you want them to think?
I want them to think there is a place they can go for their everyday home needs, or even commercial needs, but mostly I would just say home needs. There's a place that they can truly go after. I would like it to be more like the next Amazon, or like the next, if it's a social platform, next Meta or something like that they can go after. They don't have to go to multiple places to go, and they feel like this is the one place I can go. I can get a quality work, I can get reliability work, I can get my convenience, I'm able to save money, and there's a place I can go and get it. And that's what I think I'm looking for Nestease. And that's the reason the name itself came from that. Nest in our homes, and ease, I built it more like I want to make an easier job for all the nesters who are out there. So we call ourselves as easers, just like Amazonians and others. We call ourselves, including myself, I'm an easer. My job is to make life easy for you. That's how we call ourselves.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Rakesh, for spending some time with us today. And where can they find more about Nestease?
Yeah, definitely they could go to nestease.com, our website. We are always improvising. They could check out our Facebook, LinkedIn page, Instagram. We are in Twitter. So we are in many social places. They could definitely reach out to me directly through my LinkedIn or Facebook or any profile. I'm always I love to have a conversation and pick their brain, definitely. So,
all right, awesome. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Chris, for this opportunity. I really loved all your engaging questions here. Awesome. Thank you.
That's it.